right. This is Trisha Schmalhofer here with BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics. And I am here with a fabulous BAM guest, Amy Perez. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Amy is a little nervous. I'm going to call her out.
I am.
You know, it's hard to, that's my volume. I do it all the time. Sorry about that. So it's hard when you are so used to in your life compartmentalizing different parts of our life. And there's a time when a higher part of yourself says, it's time to come out of the closet and just be you in all of your glory and wonderfulness and badassery and embrace your weirdness.
Yes, I'm definitely embracing the weirdness today.
Yeah. So for Amy, she is a career police detective, right?
Yes.
And you do a little bit of like CSI stuff too, don't you?
I do. It's forensics for digital things like telephones, computers, things like that.
Okay.
Digital forensics.
So digital forensics.
Mm-hmm.
And she has studied the Wiccan religion for 8 years?
8 years, yeah.
Going on 9.
Yep.
Because you've said 9 before, so 8-ish going into
2020 makes it 9.
Okay. And, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about being a witch or being a Wiccan, which actually could be two slightly different things, which we're going to talk about. What is the difference between just being a witch and being a Wiccan? And also being a pagan. Sometimes those words are interchanged, and we are here today to clarify what that is and answer any questions you have about that. And I'm just seeing Jennifer and Tally and Charles. Thanks for watching on Facebook Live. And the other thing, I call it the trifecta of Amy's life. It's not even duality.
The trifecta of weird.
The trifecta of weird of Amy is she has a hobby, a really hardcore hobby of being
It's an obsession.
It is. It's an obsession. Let's just call it what it is. Of being a gamer on Twitch, which is a platform for streaming games. And Twitch also has a whole nother genre of, they call it IRLs, or in real life, or where you can just talk. You're not playing a game, but you can do things like this. You can just talk. You can play your music. You can do your art. You just embrace your inner weird and put it out there, and people like and subscribe. And so what's turned into a hobby and then going into an online platform, and now she has a channel called The Witches of East Twitch. Isn't that adorable? And I've been on that.
You have twice now.
Yeah, her channel twice. Yeah. And so it's really kind of cool how this trifecta, which is your life that you've previously kept all separate, is now merging together. So how are you feeling about that?
It's a little surreal, actually, to think that it's all kind of just coming together in one spot. But I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to work out in an interesting way.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, because, you know, I think we all have these multi-dimensional components to who we are. We're not just a role we play. We're not just our job. We're not just a hobby. We're not just a mother or a daughter.
Absolutely.
We are all these multifaceted beings, and I really feel like as a humanity, we're even evolving even further out there, right? And in there,
yeah.
Where we're accessing parts of ourselves that aren't even in this third and fourth dimension. They're like more of our spiritual components. So that's just my take on it. So we're becoming even more multifaceted, more light-filled. So, okay, so let's see. If anyone has any questions, hi, Sandy. Thank you for tuning in and saying hello. If anyone has any questions for Amy in regards to Wicca, what it is, if you have kind of like a idea of what it is, and you always wanted to know, now would be the time to ask. Okay, there is no limits to what we can talk about. So let's first start with Wicca. How did you even get attracted to that?
Well, I grew up Catholic, like a lot of people.
Me too.
My mother is a devout Catholic. She said, I was around 15, 16. She's like, yeah, I can tell this isn't for you. This is not what you're going to be doing. You know, I went to church with her because that's what you did.
Yeah, that's what you did.
And I didn't dislike it. It never moved me in the way that it moved her. So she said, yeah, this isn't for you. She's like, I think I know what's for you. And she invited a tarot card reader to my 16th birthday party, much to the horror of all the other mothers.
I'm sure, all the other Catholic mothers with the Catholic children.
But we had an amazing time. I actually have a picture of it. I don't have a lot of pictures. I've moved so much in my life that I don't have a lot of pictures, but I actually have that one of my party with all my friends and this woman, Susan, who gave us all tarot card readings. And it was from then I was just absolutely hooked.
I bet all the kids loved it.
Yeah, some of them were a little scared, I think.
Were they? Well, because...
Yeah. But it was definitely new for all of us, so...
I think that's something to actually talk about, is what is tarot cards? Like, some people actually have this preconceived notion of it's some kind of, like, evil thing.
Right.
And you and I both read cards, and I have...
There's some right there.
Yes, we did a spread right before. I asked Amy to bring some of her favorite cards. She brought oracle cards, which are a little different. But this is, it's like the Rider-Waite. Well, actually, that's Amy's. The Rider-Waite series, which is more of a traditional
that's
imagery.
pretty much the standard. Yeah. Everybody starts with that one.
Yeah, so it's a good start. And really, sometimes it's even classified as a game.
Yes, because it originally started as, in theory, we believe is that it started as a card game in Italy in the 13th century, and it kind of spread from there.
So now, I wouldn't even know how to play like a card game with tarot. No. I wonder if that would be kind of cool to look it up and see.
I think, as far as what I've read, no one actually knows or remembers, or if it's written down, or if
a lot of things were passed on orally.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So, and changed no matter, whoever conquered your country or unconquered your country, or
right,
whose gods you adopted, all that stuff. So, but it also tells a story because it starts, at 0 with the Fool, and then it goes through. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times there's definitely a story there.
And that's how I read cards in general, is they're telling a story, right. And that's what I know it to be too. I've studied it as well, just because I just like imagery, and I talk to everything. And I found out as I was researching for this podcast, that's actually considered nature worship and pantheism. Yes. So I dabble in those, where pantheism is God exists in everything. Mm-hmm. And working with nature as nature worship, this was off of Wikipedia, so that, of course, is credible information and facts. But nature worship has to do with realizing that nature, everything has a spirit within it that can communicate and talk to us. And so I believe that, yes, the tarot card is a piece of paper, and I've heard you say this. It's a piece of paper.
Yeah, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's a piece of paper.
It's a piece of paper with an image on it. Yep. It can't come to get you. And even like in our
it's no different than a baseball card. It's the same thing.
It is. It's paper with a picture.
Yep.
But there's symbolism, and to me, the symbolism is what's kind of grabbing you. Right. Now, you can look at the book and say, oh, like our first card was the 8th card in the Major Arcana, which, like, the Fool is walking through the path of the Major Arcana.
Because the Fool's on a journey.
The Fool is 0 card, and it's on the journey. And the Fool is actually not about being stupid. It's about trusting in the process and being kind of innocent, childlike. And so we got the Chariot, which is the 7th, and this was about our podcast.
Yes.
And the Chariot has the 2 sphinxes, the black and the white, which to me, what does that represent to you? What's the Chariot represent to you? You're the expert.
I am not the expert, but for me, the Chariot's, it's about travel or movement in some way. Maybe a little bit faster than the Fool's Walking, you know, because it's got, you know, the little, when I think of Chariot, of course you think of the standard like horse-drawn kind of thing.
Right. I'm going to hang it and put it up to the camera.
Yeah, it's a beautiful card. It's one of my favorites, actually. I get it a lot in readings, mostly because I don't do anything slow. Once I get the idea to do something, it just, I have to go with this idea, or it just keeps me up, or it just nags at me until
this podcast, like Amy and I had, like, we were talking, and
what was it, 3 weeks ago?
I know, 3 weeks ago, and it was kind of like something came up probably in one of our readings or something, that it's time that she steps forward and embraces her inner weird, and her differences are actually a gift. And then I'm like, oh, I'm looking for a podcast guest. And she's like, oh, okay, yes.
Yes, because that was my thing. I said what I was going to do this year was step out of the comfort zone. And one of the things I've always wanted to do was be on a podcast. So here I am.
And your word for the year is abundance.
Yes.
I remember that.
It was.
So the second card that we drew was the Wheel of Fortune, which is, some people get afraid of this card. But to me,
it's a great card.
It is a great card. It has, again, it's motion. It's things are changing.
An opportunity. It's the choice of all the opportunities that are there.
That's right. Yeah. And then we got the Death card,
which is one of my favorites.
I know people will draw this card and immediately get afraid because they think it's physical death. They're like, oh my God, someone's going to die in my life, or I'm going to die. It is actually kind of like so not that. Yeah. So now, in this case, what I read before this was something does need to die in Amy. It's the fear of doing this needs to be let go of, so something new can come in.
Right.
So
that is something I firmly believe. To make room for something new, you got to get rid of something old. So
yes. Is that is there anything else in the Death card that you see? You said it was Scorpio. It represented Scorpio.
Each of the zodiac signs have different cards that kind of represent them. So that's Scorpio. And mostly, and this is not to like, I'm not banging on any Scorpios. Some of my best friends are Scorpios, but y'all take stuff very seriously. So that's why you get that card. Yeah.
I find they're very deep and intense people, because in astrology, Scorpio is like a very deep, dark water. It's, you know,
and they love their secrets, so.
They do. They do. And this is, you know, Scorpio can appear in any part of your chart, not just sun sign. And
it can be your moon, your rising. It can be anywhere.
Right.
I have none in my chart.
Okay.
0.
I have some water. I don't think I have Scorpio.
I have water, but no Scorpio.
I tend to vibe with Scorpio women until they don't want to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because they're very they're either all about you or they're not about you.
Right. Scorpio men baffle me. I have learned not even to mess with Scorpio men. And I'm sure there's some women that really get along with Scorpio men.
Don't even ask a Scorpio man what he had for breakfast.
Oh no,
because
it's a secret
tell you, and he doesn't want to tell you.
No, and being a Gemini sun sign, we both are. We like to talk and find out information.
Every detail. Yeah. Everything's an interrogation.
Exactly. And it doesn't, for us, it's just having fun and exploring. Right. And we're like the fools, right? And then a Scorpio man's like, oh my gosh, she's being nosy. She's trying to control me.
Yeah, yes, definitely trying to control you.
No, again, we love all of our zodiac signs.
Do. And we all have our little issues.
Yes.
We could go on forever about what's wrong with Gemini.
Sure yes, we can. So is astrology part of the Wiccan? So you were saying how you got into it, and I want to follow up with that I commend your mother.
She's an amazing woman.
For recognizing that the religion you were born into that works for her, Catholicism, was not for you.
Right.
There's so many people out there whose parents don't give them that gift, and they have to. Now, I still go back to the Catholic Mass. At times, there's still components of the Catholicism that I actually do still use in my spiritual practice. And sometimes I want the ritual of the Mass.
The ritual of the Mass is beautiful.
It's beautiful, especially if I go back to my childhood church, which is really like a cathedral. And I go in there and the artwork and the statues and the smells of the incense.
It's very nostalgic. if you were raised in it.
Yeah.
It gives me goosebumps still. I'll go with my mom when she visits, and it's still,
and you don't
meaningful.
get struck by lightning for walking in the door.
Not yet.
Exactly. So that's the thing. Sandy's saying she's a Capricorn.
That's a good earth sign right there. That's a good person.
Yeah, you usually get stuff done, Sandy. Sandy is asking, what do we see the differences between shamanism, which is what she practices, and Wicca? And you know what? We are going to dive into that next, Sandy, so hang on to that. So the tarot card, and then did you just start exploring different practices, or
not as a kid? No, I just kind of read all the tarot books that, not that there were a lot in the library, and we certainly didn't have Amazon back then. Amazon is the best thing to ever happen to anyone. I know some people are like, it's corporate, it's horrible. It isn't, because a lot of people, won't go to the library and check out books that interest them because they feel like they'll get judged by someone. Actually, pagan and Wiccan books are the most stolen books out of libraries.
That's interesting.
Because people are afraid to check them out.
Right.
But they still want to read and know. So it's probably not like that now, but it was.
Right.
It was like that. So.
And you would know that as a police detective.
Yeah. I do a lot of book theft.
Yes. I'm sure, because people don't want that to be on their record that they're into that.
Well, a lot of people think that the FBI is still tracking what they're reading. And, in some cases, maybe they are. But, not in everybody's cases.
If you commit a horrendous crime
Alexa's
and
not spying on you.
Yes, yes.
Maybe she is.
Yeah.
Sometimes she does just start talking and no one has said anything to her.
Yeah, and I do think that it picks up keywords, because
it definitely does.
I've had people that tested it with their phone and kept saying the word cat, and then all of a sudden cat food advertising came up.
Oh, your phone is definitely listening.
Yeah.
For advertising purposes, absolutely.
Yes. There are ways to turn that stuff off, though. I actually saw a YouTube video. Okay, we're going to take a little break, and then Sandy will answer your question when we come back. And before we go to break, we're going to talk about tomorrow starts the Money Attraction Challenge. And this is Tasha Chen's free program where you can repair your relationship with money. Money is energy. We're going to talk a little bit about magic and setting intentions, and that's in a lot of different belief systems that you can set intentions and affirmations. It's no different in Wicca than something like this. So anyway, moneyattractionchallenge.com. Go on there, sign up. It starts tomorrow. You will have 5 days of exercises, community on the Facebook page, where you will get into a better relationship with money and really look at your relationship. When you go on moneyattractionchallenge.com, in the referral section, tell them BAM sent you. We'll be right back.
Hey there, this is Jesse Hall, and I want to remind you to tune into Business Elite Brevard Edition. And what we do on Business Elite Brevard Edition is bring to you some of the biggest movers and shakers on the Space Coast. These could be industry leaders, tech innovators, and social influencers. And what we do is kind of bring them on, ask them some of the most relevant questions that you may not know about. And these are people who may not be in the news, but they are making moves behind the scenes. Again, tune in. Business Elite Brevard Edition.
You're listening to Space Coast Podcast, home of the greatest podcasts on the Space Coast. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or having your own show, email us at spacecoastpodcast@hotmail.com. Space Coast Podcast. Talk hard!
Okay, we're back. This is Trisha Schmalhofer. BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics, here with Amy Perez. She is a badass, I have to tell you. She is. So, alchemist and mystic as well, because alchemy is magic.
It is.
Mysticism is looking at the mysteries of life and trying to bring it in and make sense of it and bring it into this realm. So I think we should talk about what is a pagan versus a witch versus a Wiccan.
Okay.
And we're going to touch on Sandy's question about shamanism in that.
All right. Well, for me, and I can't speak for everyone who's a Wiccan, but for me, it's basically a nature worshiping, faith that also embraces a lot of things like tarot cards or astrology. What are some of the other things I do? I garden a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm into herbs and oils and candles and everything you pretty much could think of. If you were thinking of a witch's cottage is pretty much what, Wiccans are into. But you can be a witch and not be a Wiccan. You can do all the same things that I do and just take out the religious part of it, and you're basically a witch.
So so a witch, because I identify with being witchy, because I like all of those things. And numerology, I looked on your Discord page, which is linked into the Twitch page, which we're going to talk about in case you want to watch Amy's streams. But you had Tasseography, which is like reading tea leaves
and coffee.
And it's Turkish coffee.
Yes, I learned to read coffee in Turkey when I lived there. And it's no different than reading tea leaves. It's pretty much the same thing, but you have to use Turkish coffee, otherwise it doesn't work.
I know, which I think is kind of interesting. It must stick together
it
like
does.
The grinds, because it's about seeing imagery in the formations.
Yeah.
It's symbolism again. And what about moon cycles?
Oh yeah, definitely have to. We celebrate different holidays than the standard, and then there's also we do, well, again, I can't speak for every Wiccan, I just know what I do.
What do you practice as a Wiccan?
Well, Tuesday is the full moon, so I'll do something Tuesday.
Okay.
I also do things on new moon, pretty much intention setting, sitting down, taking 20-30 minutes to be like, in this moon cycle of the new moon, what do I want to, what am I trying to put out there, what am I trying to grow, things like that.
Right. Yes. The waxing moon, you want to build.
Right.
What are the things you want to build or bring in? Right. Yes. And then the waning, when it gets smaller, it's what you want to release. Yeah.
What are you kicking out?
And it makes sense. It's less light going into the darkness.
And it's always there to remind you, like, I go to work very early in the morning, so the moon is still up. So I always see it and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. It's like a little mental, like, I don't want to say kick in the pants, but like maybe tap on the shoulder, like, this is what you're doing today. This is what you're thinking about. Right.
What about, you have a lot about different kinds of altars on your Discord page. So is that more witchy or is that Wiccan?
That's both.
Okay.
That is definitely both.
So there's
but how it's set is different.
Okay.
I've learned, and I haven't finished learning by any stretch, so I'm no expert in anything, but it's British traditional Wicca is what I've studied.
Okay.
And the particular form of that has a very, very specific altar placement for tools and things for ritual. Okay. So they differ from different covens, different groups. There are groves, there are covens, there are just people who meet up. So it's not, what I do is very set because that's how I was taught. But other people don't do it that way. And then there's other altars you can have. I have a working altar that I use when if I'm doing work for someone, specifically like if someone's ill or is trying to. I did once for a person, they really, really wanted to lose weight, but they felt like they didn't have, the stamina to keep up with it. So every day I would do a little something for them on the working altar and things like that. If someone's ill, like I said, or if I'm doing something in particular. But then I also have an ancestor altar where the ashes of both my grandparents are, and things that were important in our family that have been passed down, like an old, the kind of iron you used to like heat in the fire to iron clothes. That was my great-grandmother's. I have that on there. I have my other great-grandmother's Bible on there, my grandparents' ashes, a symbol of a horse because a horse was very important to both my grandparents. They raised horses. And then I have, unfortunately, several friends who have passed away in my life, something to remind me of them on there as well.
Now, in your brand of Wicca, do you believe that their essence or spirit is in that altar, or is the altar bringing it in? What is the...
For me, the ancestor altar is a respectful thing. I think I don't know what is remembered lives is basically how I look at it. So when you see it every day, because it's in my dining room, you can't miss it. So I'm reminded of them every day. And sometimes in the busy everyday stuff, maybe not so much now because people aren't as busy because everybody's staying home, but it's a nice gentle reminder that, you know, this is important. This is what's important to me, my family, my relationships, things like that. So I don't feel like they're there per se, but
yeah, what is remembered lives. And how many people have like a fireplace mantle,
right,
where they have that kind of stuff? You know, I see how these kind of practices bleed into like our family traditions. You know, so paganism, I see, is part of like being a shaman. So paganism, I used to really explore different spiritual branches and beliefs.
Oh yeah, I think I've read something on all of them, I swear, trying to find the one.
I love, you know, and for me I like to have a toolbox of all these different practices. Right. And I like shamanism because it's getting into altered states, and it's not using drugs, although some shamans do, but it's drumming, rattle, or sometimes it's dance. I personally can just go right in. I hear the drum in my ears, and I go visit the different worlds, and I bring back information. I either get information for me, for society, for my family, for others, and communicate. So why that would be considered pagan is because it's more like this pantheism view. It's looking at nature. It's originally paganism was the classification for any religion that wasn't in the mainstream.
Yes.
It was kind of like the religion of the rural areas or the provincial areas.
I've read before that it actually means county dweller or country dweller, but I'm not sure if that's
valid.
Yeah.
Right. I think as the Romans started coming in and bringing Catholicism, their brands of Catholicism, it was pretty much anyone that wasn't Christian was a pagan. Right. You know. So paganism can be the Celtics, the Druids, shamans, the Nordic faith. It can really fall under any of these parameters that is kind of like polytheists, that there's multiple deities or gods or spirits. It's not just the one monotheist. Although I really feel like there can be monotheists, pagans.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
there are pagans that have Jesus incorporated into their work.
That would be me.
There are Wiccans who do too, strangely enough.
Well, you know, because Jesus is a deity, an archetype, a figure, a master. He's a very strong force and has a frequency and a vibration. So I think then, so we kind of said a witch is like someone that's a witch might have these kind of practices, but Wiccan, what are the holiday? Like there's a wheel.
Yep, the wheel of the year.
And so there are there's different holidays that generally there's rumor that a lot of the Christian holidays.
Yeah, they tend to all
kind of.
Well, I mean, if you go way back, I mean, we're talking way back, like ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
Horus was born on December 25th. So what I was saying before is when someone comes in and conquers you, you end up with this like hybrid whatever for religions, and a lot of times for a conquering group to pacify the people they've conquered, they do adopt some of the practices or try to meld them together. So it's not I personally, the goddess that I work with is Bridget, but she was turned into a Catholic saint.
Yes, she was. Yeah.
So it's you know, it's a way to kind of like appease the people. So like I said, if you go back, Horus was born the same day Jesus was.
Interesting. Well, and there's
according to, you know,
I've done a lot of Bible studies, and Jesus wasn't born in December.
Right.
He was born during the census in
Rome,
which was
couldn't
like
have been in
March,
December. Right.
Or it was somewhere. It was another time. So yeah, these holidays get adopted. Is the wheel of the year around moon cycles or
seasons, equinox?
Yeah.
Things like that.
The summer solstice, the spring equinox, the fall equinox. I remember you mentioning Lou
Yes.
as the male deity that kind of represents.
And that's something that I do that's different, or that my teaching that is different. A lot of Wiccans only have the goddess. It's very female centered, which I totally get. But in nature, everything has a mate or a pair. So for me, it felt right to have two.
Yeah.
One of
Yeah. So let's look at Jesse. Well, it's on the screen now, the triple goddess symbol. It's the two crescent moons facing away from each other with a circle. This version has the pentacle in the middle. So the pentacle has its own symbolism. So let's talk. And the pentacle, for those that aren't looking, is just, it's a 5-pointed star.
Right.
But the lines on
Penta
this
is 5 in Greek, so
Yes.
that's where it comes from.
and the lines kind of go behind each other. Like
You're
you
supposed to draw it in one continuous,
right.
which is not easy.
No, and on the symbolism, like if it's a true one, you can see the lines pass under other ones, and it's kind of intricate. So, what does the pentacle stand for in Wiccan?
Well, for us, it's earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. So the elements, and then, spirit, whatever you want to call it, universe, goddess, God,
Right,
whatever it means to you.
the unseen.
Yeah.
I guess all the elements are kind of not earth and fire, air. You can see air moving.
Yeah, you can feel the wind.
Yeah, you can. So spirit is kind of encompasses that that other. All right, and then the actual triple goddess symbol, what does that symbolize?
Well, there's a lot of different myths. A lot of Wiccan things come from myth. Like, in particular, for British traditional Wicca, there's the Mabinogi, which is the Celtic myths. So there are several triple goddesses. Hecate is considered a triple goddess.
Hecate, yeah.
There's also the Morgan is sometimes considered a triple goddess. I'm trying to think of who else. Bridget sometimes, because you can call her Bridget, you can call her Breed, whatever. Everybody calls her something a little different.
So are you saying, like, you mentioned Hecate?
Yes.
And you mentioned Morrigan. Morrigan. How is there like a Trinity type feel?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, and that's interesting because then you're thinking about
Right.
Christianity again. And
right. Well, if you look down on a photograph of, is it St. Peter's Square?
I don't know.
Outside of Rome.
Oh, okay.
It looks like the Wheel of the Year, the way it's split up.
Yes.
So I think it's just, again, everything just got kind of mashed together. But there are different aspects there's maiden, mother, crone, basically.
Yes, maiden, mother, crone. It's the 3 phases of the feminine.
Yes.
And we as humans go through that. And so it's like the 3 faces or phases of the different goddess figure. Okay, all right. So we're going to go to another break. Yeah. And I'm not sure what we're going to talk about when we come back. I have some questions. And please, on Facebook Live, post questions for Amy. Anything about witchcraft, Wicca. We're going to move into, pretty soon, her police detective stuff. But for me, the Wicca stuff's like really juicy, so we might stay on that a little longer. But before we go to break, though, we're going to feature Body by Brenda. And Body by Brenda, and it's brendaswanson.com. I gave Amy a little sample of it. She uses doTERRA oils with really clean ingredients. It is so luxurious. It stays on your skin. It doesn't have any kind of like poison chemicals in it. And she also, if you look at Brenda Swanson's Facebook page right now, she's doing sculpting yoga. It's something like that, Brenda. Sorry if I didn't get it right. But she has a unique type of yoga that actually will work certain muscles. She is a multi-talented lady, and she used to be a model out in LA. And she's a cool lady, and she's going to be my guest next podcast. And she's quite a fascinating being. So Body by Brenda, check it out. You won't be sorry. It is a fabulous product. We'll be right back.
All right. This is Doug Monda.
This is Karen Monda.
And Chris Hadaway.
And we're the host of Survive, the new podcast brought to you by the Survive First Foundation, a nonprofit organization assisting first responders and their families in need of mental health support due to the lifestyle of being a first responder. So, Chris, tell us what we're going to have.
We're coming to you from retired and active law enforcement officers as well as their spouses to discuss the responder life.
Don't forget, this is an unedited and raw podcast, so we need your interactive suggestions and advice to help us help others.
So find us live on our Survive First Facebook page and join in the conversation, or find us on demand on Spotify, iTunes, or anywhere you listen to podcasts from the Space Coast Podcast Network to you.
Hey friends, Steve Vitani here, your host of the Steve Talks 321 podcast show. We are in the studio broadcasting on Facebook Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m., talking about your favorite real estate topics or anything along the Space Coast. If you have an idea for a show, send in your request live on the air. If you missed the show, don't worry, we're on 24/7 all over the world on Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, iHeart, and many other major music podcast sites on the Space Coast Podcast channel. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for listening to Steve Talks 321.
Okay, we're back. I'm here with Amy Perez on BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics. I'm Trisha. So we were just talking about Wicca, which is Amy's religion. And so Amy, you talked about covens and groves.
Yep, some people call, well, the Druids, people who study that would call them groves.
So the Druidry, it's right. Groves. So that's just, how did you find your coven?
It was really, really, really strange, actually. I started reaching out on the internet as the internet got more popular to try to find other people to talk to about these things. And then I kind of didn't really find anybody in any of the areas because I've moved around a lot in my life, a lot. And when I came to Florida, I made it. This is it. I came in 2003, and I'm like, I'm going to find people. I'm going to study. I'm going to learn. Because other than that, I was just reading, which is great. But eventually, you want to hear other people's views and ideas. I have learned so much from other people, stuff that I was like, oh, no, this is how I feel about it. And then you talk to them about it, and they make you see it completely different.
Right.
So it was important to me to make those connections. So I actually found a group online, and they seemed perfect. Like everything was checking all the boxes, right? And then at the bottom, we do not teach online. And they were an hour and a half away. And with my job, it's very difficult to go out at night and stay out late and then come to work.
Right.
And be, professional and do what they pay me to do.
Yes.
So I was like, well, that's heartbreaking. They seem perfect. And then a friend of mine said, let's go to this pagan gathering over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's go. So we went, and she knew a person that she's known for like 20 years. And I got to meet them, and they were wonderful. They're my friends now, Marla and Gypsy, and they're great people. And they introduced me to this other group of people that were all camping together. And they all belong to an organization called Covenant of the Goddess, which is a national organization. Was actually made in the 70s to kind of help get Wicca recognized as an official religion. Not that we have official religions, but for discrimination purposes.
Yeah, it's
and
recognized as a religion. You have rights.
So, so I spent the weekend talking to them, and they were amazing. And one woman in particular really stood out to me as just an amazing human. And so I started talking more to her. Turned out she was the high priestess of that coven that I had found online. That was the perfect fit. So I was talking to her, and she said something, and I said, wait a second, are you part of, and I don't want to say them now because she's not part of that coven now, she has her own, because once you get to your third initiation, you're allowed to hive off and make your own coven.
Okay.
But at the time, she was the high priestess for this coven. And I was like, are you part of, and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I emailed you guys a while back because I was very interested, but you don't teach online. And she's like, what email address? And I told her, and she's like, I remember you.
Oh, cool.
And it turned out that we just really clicked. She's actually local now. She was down there, but now she's up here. And she's just an amazing woman. I've learned so much from her. And so it was definitely one of those meant to be things.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much how I found that.
And that's spirit
Yeah.
working in your life.
Because it was like, hey, let's go to this weekend. Just out of the blue.
And there
let's
it
go.
is. And so, and the high priestess is the highest order of the coven, the
Yes.
highest position. Okay. So there is a question from Jennifer Cleveland.
Hi, Jennifer. We've actually met before. You probably don't remember, but we've met before.
Oh, cool. Jennifer, Amy knows you. I was told recently that I had something like a hex put on me that tied a knot. Can you talk about that and what to do to release it?
Okay, so hexing is a very interesting and very sensitive subject for a lot of people. When I first started, I was like, oh no, I would never, ever hex anyone. No one deserves that, because I do believe that energy put out is energy that comes back.
Right.
And why make things more difficult for yourself
Yeah.
by doing that?
It's,
But as I've grown and gotten a little more, I don't want to say wise, but maybe more in tune with people and cycles, again, it's a balance. There is a time to heal people. There is a time to hex people. So a lot of people feel like any bad luck that happens to them is someone's, it's an evil eye. It's a hex. It's this, it's that. Sometimes just bad things happen.
it's not always someone's coming after you.
And it could possibly be, obviously. But there's a lot of ways of working with that. So somebody told you that there was a hex on you and it was like a knot spell. I want to make sure that I'm understanding.
It's that, and I can verify that, it appears as a knotted thing in her field that's affecting her.
Okay, so not specific, not like a physical, because there are knot spells.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
Not magic. So I wanted to make sure I understood. So it's something in like her energy field that's like knotted up.
Yeah. So there's actually a knot spell.
There's a whole section of knot magic.
Oh, how interesting is that? Well, because I know about a coven that they actually have weavers.
Yes.
They will weave the web. So I find when I'm clearing the field and it's something coming from, I feel it has a witch vibration. A lot of witches use knots.
Yes.
And so that's what I think Jennifer's talking about, but more in the field.
Okay. It's funny that you said that. Part of my tradition is we have cords that we wear in circle, and you have to actually spin your yarn, make your yarn, weave your cord, and it's more of a lesson in patience than it is any magical thing.
I find unknotting a witch's hex takes a lot of patience. Yeah.
So it's definitely possible if that's how it's coming across.
Okay. So how do you undo a hex?
It helps if you have an idea of maybe who it is. Because again, you're setting intentions and you're deflecting, so it helps to know where it's coming from. It doesn't have to be. There are mirror spells that you can do. There's binding spells, which sound terrible, but they're not. It's basically just keeping someone's energy away from you. Shielding. There's lots of things that can be done, and it's all very basic stuff when people are either witches or into Wicca or those kind of things. So it's tons of information on the internet about that.
Okay. All right. So Jennifer, I can go back to you and maybe assist you on that afterwards. So there's a lot of different things you can do, and trying to find the right resonance, like that equals what I'm hearing is what matches the energy of what it is, and that's you use it to kind of counteract it.
And you have to find the one that is going to make her the most comfortable.
Right.
Because if it's something that, if you're not going to, it's all about belief and intention, right? So if
it
you're not.
all is. Everything is about belief and intention.
So if you're not all in, it's not going to work.
Right. So. And the person that's sending it has an intent behind it. So catching the vibration of that intent and not accepting it, I think that was part of my, my counsel to her was, don't accept it.
Right.
Like you break that magnetic part of it. Like, I don't accept what you're giving to me.
Right. Cut those cords.
Cut it. Just cut it. And Jennifer, you are gifted enough to go in there and figure out what the resonance is and counteract it. You are very gifted to do that. So I think what we're gonna do is when we come back, we are at our like 15-minute mark soon. I'm like so bummed. Like I could talk about. We didn't even talk about the other stuff yet.
That's all right. I'll have to come back.
So let me have one cool story from your police detective life. Like what's a juicy tidbit or maybe some information or a fact that you think we would all want to know?
Well, the one that you like.
I know. So I don't like it, but it was fascinating.
All right. Most people pass away at home. It's a fact.
And in what room?
In the bathroom.
Most people die in their bathroom.
Yes, because when you don't feel well, that is the first place you go. And most people die naked because when you don't feel well, you don't want clothes on. And so, yes, there's probably a 65% chance you'll die naked in your bathroom.
Right. And it makes sense though, because and I'm sure as police detectives to get into that small little space, because how many bathrooms are big, you know?
It's horrible.
And here's the other little tidbit before we go to break. I got it.
If you die at home and there's no one else there and you're there for a few days and you have pets, they will eat you. They will.
They will eat you.
Yes.
And it's like a whole nother way of looking at my pet. And she said cats
won't wait.
Cats will like do it right away. They start chomping down on you.
Dogs are loyal. They will wait. They will wait until they absolutely cannot wait anymore. Cats.
Because they're hungry.
Yeah. Cats will give you 15 minutes and they'll start nibbling on your toes. They don't care.
I actually saw an article. They did a study because cats like a certain type of dead flesh. I know. We don't want to think about our fuzzy little kitties like this.
My precious babies.
I know. But after she told me this, I went home because I do have a cat and my cat always stands outside the shower when I'm in there.
He's waiting for you to slip and die in the bathroom.
I always thought he was guarding me. No. But after that, I opened the curtain and there he is looking at me. I'm like, you're sizing me up. You're thinking, juicy snack. Yes.
How many bites?
Fall.
How many bites is it going to take?
All right. Before we go to break, this is giving you a whole new insight into your pets, people.
We're just horrified, everyone you know.
I know. I'm so sorry. But it's just kind of interesting that when you come across a body that's been there, they've been chomped down.
There's so many things that had I known I was going to learn through police work, I'm not sure I would have chosen it.
We're going to touch on that for a few minutes when we come back.
Okay.
Before we do, up on the screen is highlighting, Amy and I both have Twitch channels. If you go to twitch.tv, it started out for Amy with online gaming because we're both Gen Xers and we grew up with video games.
And it's a great stress reliever.
It is. And so so she found this platform where you can do online gaming and you have people watching you on the stream or you can play with other people. And then she just started the Witches of East Twitch. Yes. Isn't that cute? And so her channel is witches_of_East_Twitch. And then I have a Badasses Alchemists Mystics channel that I'm starting to do tarot card readings and other like cool stuff, healing, things like that on there. So if you go to twitch.tv, check out these two channels and follow them. It doesn't cost anything to follow us, but it helps us to get to a status where we can actually make some money. So twitch.tv, check out those two channels, and we'll be right back.
Join us for the fresh, new For Your Best Self podcast with Drs. Anita Saluja and Rebecca Novo of Dermatology plus Plastic Surgery. We will reveal the facts about techniques, trends, products, and procedures to be your best self. The first and only podcast combining the synergy of aesthetic dermatology plus plastic surgery. Search For Your Best Self on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify.
Are you in the market for a new home? Perhaps you need to sell your old home and downsize or relocate. Hey there, my name is Jesse Hall with eXp Realty, and I offer professional real estate services right here on the Space Coast. Give me a call, 321-877-8737 for all of your real estate needs. Again, 321-877-8737 for all of your real estate needs. Buy, sell, invest with the best. Find out more at 321-buysellinvest.com.
We're back. Trisha and Amy here. Bam, Badasses, Alchemists, Mystics. Again, tune into twitch.tv, the witches _of _east _twitch _. And you're going to see Amy, yours truly, and another Bam.
Yes,
badass, Brittany / Pagan Wolf. And we three get together and do talk about stuff that's witchy.
And it's fun.
And it is fun. And we have a good little mix going.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk more about police stuff. Oh, but we wanted to mention, because when on break we were talking about crystals, and part of witchcraft is using herbs and minerals and gems and stones and what
oils and candles and
all of
we like
that.
it all.
It all has, and being an energy healer, I use all of those too, because they all have frequency. So it's really, witches really just use energetic frequency. Yep. It's all the same thing. It's just different.
It's just how you label it.
It's
how you're comfortable.
Yeah, and what fits with you. And that's why I have a conglomerate of different things. I have like Lakshmi in my corner over here. I have Buddha over here. I have like cosmic stuff over here. I have a cross over here. I love it all. So, putting crystals in the windows, this is for you too, Jennifer, and everyone. It's not just decoration. It actually acts as a protector or a mirror for that kind of like negative, intentional
Some
things.
of the Asian religions actually have mirrors that they put in their windows.
Yes.
For the same reason. So
yeah, a lot of feng shui mirrors can
Bakwa, I think it's called.
Yeah, the Bagua is it's their grid.
Right.
Excuse me. And yeah, that's a whole nother belief system. I have a friend, Elaine Bartlett, that has studied that for years. And she's like, I haven't even,
I find it so fascinating.
She actually feng shuied my house. It's all about vibration and energy. So that culture.
And how stuff flows. Yeah.
Exactly. It's all the same thing. So it's whatever resonates to you. But yeah, the mirrors in that can reflect into your house, or it can reflect back out. And it's the positioning of a mirror in feng shui is very important, because you don't want to have it right inside your door, having the chi bounce right back out again, unless you have something out outside your window. Like a neighbor that's really harsh, like with bad yucky juju. You want it to come. You don't want it in your home. So it's all about placing. Brenda, at the end I can post our site and Amy's, the twitch.tv is the website, and then you're going to search for our channels, and I'll put our channels in the notes at the end.
And anything that you're interested in, I guarantee you there's probably a Twitch channel for you.
Yeah.
If there are people that cook, there are people that do live DJ streams, there are people who make music, there are people who paint. Bob Ross, he's been passed away for a while. He has a channel. They just play his old TV show, and it's one of the most watched Twitch channels there is. That is the most relaxing afternoon you will spend.
I love Bob Ross. I always loved watching him. I'm say it's like a meditation. And I will watch DJs. I'll watch artists doing their drawings, and then there's a chat also, so you can actually interact with the person
and people in the chat. And I've made so many amazing friends.
Yeah, and it is primarily a gaming themed site, but you can just search for all this other creative stuff or things that you like, because pretty much someone's going to be streaming.
Yeah. If you like painting miniatures for games or doing doll houses, any craft you can think of. There are people who just sit there and knit.
Yeah.
And they teach other people to knit. It's amazing.
So twitch.tv is the site, and I'll post what you look for on there. So so any more like stuff that you wish you didn't know now that you're a police detective story?
Yeah. Had I realized how many naked people I would see, I would have definitely reconsidered. When I was a rookie, one of the first calls, I'll never forget it as long as I live, one of the first calls I ever went to, middle of the night, someone calls 911. We go, knock on the door. Woman answers the door completely naked. And I led a very sheltered life, I think. So I was like, and you have a field training officer who goes with you when you're new and you're learning. FTO, right? And he's like, get in there, Rook. And it's just like, I'm like, ma'am, do you want to put some pants on? And she's like, no, I'm good. Okay. I guess we're going to have this conversation with you completely naked. And yeah, so that happens a lot more than you would think.
Now, is it because people are like on something?
Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's mental illness. There are times I did do a traffic stop one time, and I do a passenger side approach for my traffic stops because it's safer, because I'm very short. You can't probably tell right now, but I am under 5 feet tall.
Right.
So I like to go to the passenger side because then I get a clearer view of the driver and both their hands instead of trying to do this, through an open window. But that surprises a lot of people because they don't expect it, which is also a good thing for me.
Yes.
But one time, middle of the night, pulled someone over, go to the window, and I see them looking out their window, waiting for the officer to show up and undoing their buttons. Because
she was a woman.
Right, because she immediately assumed it was going to be a male police officer.
Right.
Because
and
that is the norm, right?
Showing some cleavage to get out of the ticket.
Because she's probably gotten out of 10 tickets doing that. Rock on, if that works for you, And I remember coming up to the window, knocking on the window, and she turned and she looked, and her face was she was just shocked. And I was like...
You smiled, big and cute.
And she's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. And I'm like, it's all right, I get it. I completely get it, If it works, it works, but I have the same, so it's not going to work on me. So let's discuss your speed.
Right. And it's just, that's not your preference.
Right,
Because maybe some female officers that would work.
Yeah.
But, and the thing, for those of you that can't see Amy, like, she is short, but she's also like adorable. And like, this is a reason why she's a badass, because it's like, she is police detective and a Wiccan and the gamer and the Twitch person, but it's like you look at her and what is the common thing people think you probably do for a living?
Preschool teacher or daycare.
Yes, because she has that kind of vibe about her.
I have that mother thing going on.
You do. You do. She's sweet and caring, and I know where you work, and I know a lot of people you work with, and there are a lot of men in that industry, and there's more women now than there ever has been. But, Amy is like Mama Bear.
Oh, yeah.
And Amy is the person that a lot of the officers come to.
Oh, yeah. If you're in good with me, it's ride or die. I'm there for you, so.
Yeah, so she really does bring her practice into her work in the sense of holding space, because being in that field of law enforcement or any of the first responder stuff, it's like having that motherly, loving, kind of compassionate, soothing energy is probably life-saving to a lot of your coworkers.
And people, it's really strange how it all works out as far as how people will react to you. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't like the police. I get it. No adult likes to be told what to do by another adult.
Right.
I get that. But a lot of times I have a lot less trouble than other officers because it's not personal, and I don't make it personal.
Right.
I just, hey, don't do that.
Yeah, and her face right now is like looking like, come on, you were speeding.
Right,
you
know better,
really shouldn't
right?
do that.
Yeah, it's not safe. You don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
You don't want to hurt someone else.
If I got pulled over by Amy, I'd probably be like, I know. Yeah. Well, see, when I get pulled over, I don't do the whole, hey, let me put my... I'm like, I know enough police officers that I will put my hands on the steering wheel.
There's definitely a way to do a traffic stop.
When the officer comes up, I say, man or woman, where were you going? And I'll say, this is where where I was going. Hey, I was running late. I was supposed to be there 5 minutes ago. I'm just going right over
Gemini.
here.
I can't help myself.
I know. No, and I don't even do that. I don't do the crying thing.
Right.
I'm just like, this is where I was headed. This is where I'm coming from. And honestly, like a lot of times I'll just get a warning because I am being cooperative and I'm letting them know.
Because
look,
we've all been there.
Yeah.
We have all, anyone who says they've never broken the law is a liar.
I
speed. I do. I'm always late.
Yeah. And it's just like, just be honest and we're all human.
Right. We're just trying to I'm doing a job to try to keep you from getting hurt, trying to keep other people from getting hurt.
Right.
And that's pretty much how it works. But one thing that I found that's really interesting is depending on the person, how they react. Women younger than me don't like me. Will not, if I have to do an interview or a interrogation with a suspect, I will find someone else to interview my suspect if she's a younger than me female.
Why do you think that is?
I get that I'm intimidating. They say that I'm so not, but
maybe you are in interrogation. Well, one, they might not feel like they can manipulate you.
And I think that is it too. It's like, honey, I was 20 once too. I know what you're doing.
I get it.
Yeah. Right.
It's kind of like, oh, I can't put one over on her. She gets it. She sees right through me.
But guys younger than me,
oh gosh,
the mom vibe just.
Oh, they probably spill their guts.
They cry and they tell me stuff.
Yeah. So, but that's good to know as a detective. Like, it's just you want to get to the truth and to the information.
Right.
So you have to know which officer is going to.
Or if you're capable of switching a persona, then you should. I mean, there's just certain ways to, there obviously are a million different ways to interview people, a million different ways to interrogate someone. With just, when we say interrogate, we mean just communication, not, we're not waterboarding anyone.
Right. Or slamming them up against the wall.
Yeah, the phone book days are gone. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
I might use the phone book to sit on, so I can be like...
Because you can be eye to eye.
Eye to eye with the person, yeah.
Because that's something, too. You don't want to be sunk down the chair. You do have to... People might see you come in and say, oh, she's just a short little thing.
Push over.
But if you know Amy, like, she is a strong force. Like, don't let her appearance fool you. She really is a badass.
I run the daycare with an iron fist.
She does. So we are out of time, and I'm so bummed. But I think we covered a lot.
We did. It was fun.
Yeah.
And not as scary as I thought it was going to be.
Good. I'm so honored that I'm the one you said yes to help you branch out and spread your wings and shine your light into the world. And so is there any way, how can people get in touch with you besides going to your Twitch channel, twitch.tv, witches_of_east_twitch_.
Right.
Wait, no underscore at the end.
No. I also I'm on Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram under the same name.
Okay, Twitter and Instagram.
And I will answer messages on there.
Okay.
And if you come by the stream, we always, a lot of times we'll do a reading here or there, or answer questions, or...
Right. I'll probably have Amy on my BAM, Badasses, Alchemist, Mystics stream very soon. I'm almost set up in my house.
I know. It's very, very exciting.
I know. So we'll probably do one together on my channel. And then there's a way for us to host each other on our channel. So anyway, we could keep going for hours. But we got to tune off. And thank you, everyone. If you want to email me with suggestions or comments or questions, it's bamcommunity11@gmail.com. Thanks. We'll see you next time.